Hi, my name is Audrey Tepper, and I may look like a park ranger, but I'm actually the historical architect for the National Mall. So my background is as an architect with a specialty in historic preservation. Been with the Park Service a long time, and I have worked on these memorials a long time. At around 2006, the National Park Service started to notice that there was a strange growth on the white marble of the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. The marble is from Vermont. It's called Imperial Danby from quarry in southwest Vermont, and it all of a sudden started to look a little bit dirty. Didn't quite know what this was happening here, so we kind of kept our eye on it. And over the years, this growth got more and more aggressive and became more and more noticeable. Didn't really know what to call it. Couldn't really clean it off easily. Around 2016, we were working with some microbiologists who identified this as a biofilm. It's a natural occurrence, and a biofilm is a microbial community of algae, fungi, and bacterial growth. And it grows just below the surface of the marble in little grains. And it's kind of funny because we don't really know why it's there. And it started to appear in other white marble buildings around town, but we kind of had the poster child for it with this big white dome. So biofilm needs two things to survive. It needs UV or sunlight, and it needs water, both of which we have in abundance in this location. So over time, this growth became more and more aggressive, and it just almost, before we cleaned it, it looked like almost an animal print, where it was kind of following the formation of the stone, and we were seeing less and less white marble and more of this dark biofilm growth. So there are lots of mysteries of why this biofilm is there. Is it due to climate change? Is it due to a difference in the surface of the stone, which weathering has caused erosion? But whatever, this was the perfect place for this biofilm to grow. And an architectural conservator from our Northeast region, a woman named Judy Jacob, started to get really interested in biofilms. And she was working with some microbiologists to learn more. And it really wasn't until about 2016 that we actually knew what to call this, that we identified this growth as a biofilm. Very few people in the United States are studying biofilm. There are some select microbiologists out there that make this their specialty, and even fewer of those study biofilm on building stone. So Judy Jacob, our senior architectural conservator, and I don't exactly know how this happened because this was before my time, but Judy was looking for people to help us out. And somehow she got connected with the Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology and Dr. Mary Susan Burnett, who is an exceptional biology teacher there. And together they were able to form a partnership where Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology would partner with the National Park Service and the National Mall to study biofilm and to do DNA sequencing of biofilm using sophisticated processes that I don't even know, I don't even completely understand, but I've learned a little bit over the years thanks to this collaboration. And each year, since about 2017, Dr. Burnett and her students have visited the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. They have collected samples, very sensitively taken, of the biofilm. They have brought them back to their the laboratories at the high school and have sequenced the DNA, sort of focusing on different components of this biofilm, of this microbial community. I came to this particular job, been with Park Service a long time, about 5 years ago, and met one sort of academic year of students who were studying in part of this collaboration. And it was just a joy to work with these students. They were so smart and so excited to come to the memorial and realize that they were doing such meaningful work where other people are not studying this. So working with the students has been an absolute delight, certainly for me and for our team at the National Mall. They are enthusiastic and excited about this collaboration. And it's a really interesting and unique assignment. I can see it going on college applications and people actually taking note of this incredible experience to study the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, arguably one of the most famous buildings, certainly in Washington or in the United States or in the world, very easily recognizable. Not to mention, it's a memorial to Thomas Jefferson, and the high school is also named for Thomas Jefferson. So that's a great little meeting of the minds there. So the students come out, they very sensitively take samples of the biofilm, they bring them back to their laboratories, and they provide information that pretty much nobody else is providing today. And we have used that information to better understand what we have. We don't have all the answers yet, but this is an important component to understanding why this biofilm is there, why, is there anything we can do to prevent it, or this is just Mother Nature taking its course. But they're filling in some of the blanks that we're not getting this information from any place else. So it's a really great partnership and a win-win situation that the National Park Service is seeking important scientific data, and the Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology is incorporating this into their curriculum in sciences, and it's a great place to be. As you may have noticed, if you're local, the Thomas Jefferson Memorial was just cleaned of biofilm. We finished this probably in September of 2021. We worked throughout the pandemic, not only cleaning the memorial of biofilm, but also doing some masonry repairs and replacing some roofs. And we made sure that when we cleaned the whole memorial using a combination of steam and laser, and but we also left small portions of the memorial uncleaned for scientific purposes. And so recently, this year in 2022, when we were allowed to take field trips again, and the pandemic had calmed down a little bit, the students came back, a different crop of students that came back, this year's academic offerings, and they were able to, this time, test the unclean portions, and again, we have small samples that we kept unclean for this reason, and then compare them to the clean samples. One of the big questions we have is this biofilm going to grow back? I think it is, as again, it's very hard to beat Mother Nature, but when is it going to grow back? Will it grow back as aggressively? Will it grow back more aggressively? I don't know. All of this makes me nervous, but we are actually working with another group of conservation architects to do a long-term monitoring program for the biofilm to see if it returns. And we have shared information that students have gathered from the Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology and incorporated that into our long-term monitoring program. So some of the information that has been provided to us from the Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology is being shared with others. And this is all part of sort of the educational gain or goal of having these wonderful students study this information and being the first to do some of the research that they're doing. I have established a long-term monitoring program of the memorial to monitor the biofilm. We just cleaned the memorial using steam and laser of the biofilm. So it's looking as good as it's looked in a good long time. You don't see that blotchy biofilm anymore. But we need to assure that this stuff isn't going to grow back. I cannot assure that it isn't going to grow back. But we are still in the learning process of obtaining information. So we established a long-term monitoring program, and since so few people are studying this phenomena in the United States, we're working with some conservation architects from northern Italy. And we had intended to have them come to Washington pre-pandemic, but that never happened. So I'm happy to say that the week of of May 16th, 2022, they're finally making it to Washington. And we have shared some of the data and the studies that have come from the students with this group, and the idea of this collaboration and this monitoring program, which we hope to last at least 10 years, is to figure out, to try to solve some of these mysteries. I don't think we're going to solve all of the mysteries, but the information that we've gathered, we're going to sit down around a table and share this information and see, what they know, what we know, what information we have provided to them to further their understanding of the biofilm, and put that to good use for the long-term protection, preservation, and really scientific study of what's happened at this memorial. Having the students visit us here at the National Mall is really a highlight of what I do. And we've had sort of various site visits a few times a year when the kids come for the afternoon and collect data. The last site visit before the pandemic, I can't remember, I think it was in October, and maybe it had been a very, very dry summer, and we hadn't had any rain except the day that the students came, and it was miserable. And we all came out in our rain gear and our rubber rain boots, and everybody still got soaked to a core. And I have to say that those students still had smiles on their faces. There was not one complaint. They slid around. I shouldn't say they slid around because that's a safety issue, but they were just so happy to be there, even with their rain boots filled with rain. And I bought the whole crowd hot chocolate from our food kiosk after, which was really chilly and nasty, and we were wet and I would say miserable, but the kids didn't bat an eye. They just went out there. They were so happy to be there. They took all their samples in the rain, and they dried off when they got home. That's all I can say. But it was a wonderful afternoon, despite the not very cooperative weather circumstances. So it's been a really fun and productive and educational collaboration, and the National Park Service is really lucky to have the Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology on their team to study the Thomas Jefferson Memorial and all the strange things that are growing on it. I tip my ranger hat to the students at the high school who have just been terrific, and to their fearless leader, Dr. Mary Susan Burnett, who has really been a phenomenal partner in all of this.